trying to keep their businesses alive, but also understanding weddings will still happen, and how do we fit into that place? What is our footprint in that place now? And then in the future, as it hopefully expands back to the way it was on a larger scale.
Yeah, and really everybody is having to make these adjustments, and it's not just people with huge 300-person weddings. It's people that were planning on doing 50-person weddings, and they're having to really rethink about things that we, for many years just kind of took for granted. And so we are learning a lot about basically what a wedding is, and what is really necessary to quote unquote call it a wedding, and how we can still hold on to the same quality that we want to have, and even if it's less people. So one of the things that everybody's of course after the high-end clients, the people that are willing to, where price is really one of the last things that they talk about. And I think there's kind of a big illusion as to where those people are, how they think, and try to get into their philosophy. So before we get really into that, tell me what your definition of luxury is, because I think it's something that it has a lot of different interpretations, but I think let's get to the core of what luxury really is all about.
Yeah, luxury is definitely a lifestyle choice of something of affluence and higher price. It's generally having that type of value, but not priced just for it to be expensive, priced on the value of what that brings. So there's luxury floral. What does that mean? That means beautiful, higher end floral arrangements that you might not be able to get readily at hand. So there's luxury on that level. There's Peninsula Hotel. That's a luxury property. So they bring a lot of elements and assets that you do not have to bother with. So if you're more of an everyday bride and you just want to DIY it, that you could still have a luxury experience. It's luxurious to you, but luxury really is services being brought to you that are taken off of your shoulders.
Yeah, and I think luxury to me is really a lot of times things that don't even cost money are what luxury is. It's something that the level of personal service and attention to detail, that's what real like luxury is. And so I think when you have maybe even a smaller wedding, but it's so authentic for that couple, and something that has a much deeper connection to that couple, rather than something that's more generic and more anybody could just fill in the blanks, Bob and Julie, and that's, to me, a lot of times it comes down to effort in terms of how deep you're willing to go for that client. And sometimes it's a matter of like, they get their specialty drink that you found out about, which they didn't even specifically ask for, or maybe they got that extra appetizer, which you happen to be listening. They said, oh, I really love that, but we can't quite afford it. And maybe you were able to somehow do some things for that. So to me, that's what luxury is, but one of the things I really liked that you talked about, Amy, is, the importance of value, because sometimes people think, well, I'm just going to get the cheapest thing. Well, if you get the quote unquote cheapest band and people aren't dancing, did you really save money? And the same thing with a cheap florist and the flowers look kind of lousy. Did you save money with that? So I think luxury should be more of an investment into coming away with something that pays off for you.
And there's different levels. I mean, there's high luxury. I mean, we've seen $1 million weddings.
Sure.
But there's also 50,000 luxury. It's all in the mindset. But as a tradition, luxury is a product or service that alleviates your time and is of a higher value. That's something that you don't have to put, like, they do it all for you.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is really taken care of, and you have more options too, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it as well. So have you seen, in terms of, obviously, the days of doing 300-person weddings are, at least for now, kind of either forwarded or kind of put on hold. And are you finding that people are trying to take a 300-person luxury wedding and kind of condense it down to 10 or 30 people? And what are some of the things that they're really holding on to
Right. No,
keep that luxury wedding feel?
I think right now the hope is that many of them are having these smaller ceremonies, or what we've heard and talking with a lot of the planners, that
Mhm.
smaller celebrations are going to happen because they just want to get married now. That doesn't cancel their love. They're in love, they want to get married. The 300 guest list is to celebrate all that love with their extended friends and family, and that can't happen right now. So it's been pushed and postponed till next year. So we are hearing more of the 2 events, which is great. I mean, that would be great for our economy and great for our planners to be able to have that, get your couple married, make them happy with their closest family members, and then have the larger celebration next year. And that's not unheard of. That's been happening for years. Our previous publisher of CS, Corey Heiler, got married at a destination wedding, small, 25. This is 10 years ago, 25%,
Mhm.
and then later had a year later had a large celebration downtown Chicago with all of her friends, and was much more relaxed. So I mean, it's not new. We've been doing it. It's just now it's more forced upon us, and it's, you know, the legal right thing to do at this point. So, and hoping that we can next year have the larger scale weddings for everyone to celebrate.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I think that's really great that they do want to get married. And so they are doing smaller things just to say that we are married. And then you can also just celebrate later. And like you said, people have been doing this for years and years. And we've played lots of weddings for couples that got married overseas somewhere. And then they come back because they have their family and friends, and they're doing just a kind of a big open party for that. So there's no, somebody asked me once, what does it cost to get married? Well, I think it's $150 over at, City Hall. There's a document. You can just show up and have somebody. So, but a wedding is really the celebration of sharing your love with everybody that you love. So I'm glad people are, looking at what their definition of love is, and realizing that there's no timetable for love. As long as you've got your relationship together, what's the big race to get that done?
and there's new virtual options as well, where you can have a video screen and bring in family, like a Zoom or however you want to have it. You know,
Mhm.
if you are having the smaller intimate ceremony, just the 2 of you, you could, you know, pipe in. And again, that's something that a lot of people struggle with if they have an 89-year-old or 80s grandparent can't make it all the way to Chicago. If they're coming from Seattle or wherever, they, you know, just can't make it. So you
Mhm.
go the virtual route. So, and I think that's something will be long lasting in the future too.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we're speaking with Amy Allen, who is the group publisher for Modern Luxury Weddings, and we're thrilled to have her here today. And along those lines, in terms um, of using technology, we're actually offering people live streaming for free. So if they use us for a violin piano duo, let's say in a jazz trio or a micro wedding band, we can actually give people live streaming too, because and I thought of this like 20 years ago, but the technology wasn't
Right.
put together. I had it all written down. It's called "I'll Be There," and what
Yeah.
my
Right.
love would be to set it up where, like a grandmother's in her hospital or at a nursing home or something, and she could actually give a toast virtually on a screen at the wedding.
Right. I guess
Something like that.
that's what I'm saying. I think this horrible situation we're in is bringing out a lot of creativity.
Mhm.
So, and for every industry, they're figuring out what can they do to kind of, you know, create that larger experience, or a experience from every level. Like Beth Bernstein from SQN Events has created Essential I Do's, a luxury experience, honing down, you know, to a price point, but working with the Langham or what are these higher end properties and Floral, and kind of creating package. She never had that before. This situation that she's been put in allowed her to be creative and like, oh, what can I do to make this make sense? Or like in your case as well, bringing the virtual aspects in. What is, you know, big bands can't happen right now, but what are your unique small services? What are
Mhm.
your, um, you know,
Yeah.
options?
It's crazy because it's like, I just sat down and I said, what are we able to do? And so for weddings, we're doing, micro weddings and such. And we're also doing, front yard concerts and backyard kind of Ravinia type concerts. And then people that can't fly over to Paris, we're recreating Paris with doing Parisian music. And Debbie Lilly does all the flowers, and Blue Plate Catering does all the food. and
Right.
they
And
got
for caterers,
Untitled.
I mean, they've had to be creative with their menus. I love
Yes.
now, instead of having, past hors d'oeuvres or food stations, which might be a little bit uncomfortable for some guests, that you can have a 6-course seated meal. I think that's
Mhm.
brilliant. Just create the experience and that is again luxury. Like you can have a 10-person dinner party safely spread out, but have this ultimate beautiful floral arrangement, have this 6-course meal. Um, you can
Yeah.
just make it anything you want it to be.
Yeah, because just because it's smaller doesn't mean it has to be any less luxurious,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
I mean, if you look at Downton Abbey and they have these big elaborate dinners and there's maybe like 20 people at this whole thing, but my gosh, it seems like so. I don't think by adding a zero makes it any more luxurious or anything.
Yeah,
It's about
I
the
think that's
quality.
what's been most exciting and most proud of our industry, and just talking with so many and being creative on what they can do. And large companies like HMR has launched Maison HMR, home floral bouquets and deliveries. Kehoe launched events to go, super creative. I mean, the creativity has been mind blowing, and we're so excited to see everyone come to the table.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the best things that we now incorporate into our life came out of horrible situations. And in 2008 and 2009, that's when like Uber came out and a lot of
I just launched the
huge,
wedding magazine in
right,
2007, and the
exactly.
market tanked. And I was like, oh, what's going to happen to weddings? But in fact, it was actually the safest place to be. And I
Uh-huh.
learned weddings will still happen. And actually, the luxury affluent market really was the saving place, because they had the pocketbook to still spend. And so I watched from that time till now all of our industry grow and really expand and see the value of weddings. This is a little different because obviously it's um, based on safety and legal terms. But at the same point, people are still going to get married and still want to have a beautiful wedding experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one great commodity that will never change, right? It is our human nature. We are naturally born to be loving, like your children, right? Like when they're born, they're like, I love everybody. Everybody's great. Everybody's my friend. And hopefully, we do our best to kind of retain that and hold on to that as much as we can, and not get jaded and like this is that and this is that and like just try to love everybody. And I think that is the natural human nature to be. And that's what's going to keep weddings going. Now, the structure of weddings may change, but the urge to be together with people, I think, will always be there. And I think it's wonderful to see um, so many vendors kind of sticking together and talking together and helping each other, which is why I started this unplanned group page, is to find ways of us collectively figuring things out. And it's been very, very exciting. And just from a human level, being able to see people help each other out and help. This is how I did this contract, and this is how I dealt with this situation.
Right.
And I'm sure you're finding that a lot, the collaboration with a lot of different vendors that some are really suffering and some are kind of making their way through it, but they're looking out for each other. And I think that's
Yeah.
one of the benefits that comes out of this, I think.
I'm really excited actually for our wedding issue that just came out. We pivoted quickly and changed some editorial stories to make in what people are doing, and the first kind of micro-sized wedding, what that looked like. And other companies like, oh my gosh, Platinum Sanitation, Justin Jacobson of Platinum Events, who was a floral decor company,
Oh, yes.
major pivot of a lifetime, and did
Right.
platinum sanitation. Now he's sanitizing corporate offices, buildings, and even event venues. I mean,
Mhm.
that's incredible. But yeah, I mean, we have 290-page wedding magazine that shows the strength of our wedding industry. And I think that's what's most important, that we're putting the message out there to brides and grooms and the industry that Chicago's a strong market, and that we, need to all, band together and show what we can do, which is amazing. We've done an incredible job so far.
Yeah, and I love the whole story with Justin Jacobson is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was, and that actually was a huge proponent for me starting all this other stuff, because I was out getting bagels one Sunday morning and I bought like 10 dozen bagels and I put something on Facebook. Hey, anybody, in great need of bagels and cream cheese? And so he was one of the people, and I went over to his office and he was the only guy there, but we sat down and he told me the whole story about he was going through a lot in his personal life, but he locked himself in his room, and he said, what things am I able to do? What resources do I have to make that happen? And then what do people still need?
Right.
And he watched his son with his little broom. He was cleaning the office a little bit. And he said, that's it. People want to reopen their businesses. And like, how can I make, people need to make their places healthy. So that's kind of how we started this whole thing. And that really inspired
Great
me.
for weddings. I mean,
Yeah,
that's so important for couples to know that their venue is clean and safe, and
absolutely.
I mean, it's brilliant.
So I think that's great. I think we can all kind of, and I know we've talked about this in a lot of different webinars that we've done, is that the ability to kind of reevaluate, what your business is capable of doing. And it could be just one small aspect that you kind of took for granted, but wow, all of a sudden people want, jazz trios, or they want, you know, some small aspect of your catering company. But well, I guess we can do this over there. We can't do that, but we can do that. And all of a sudden that can really take off. And so many incredible things have come out of that, like the Post-it note, right? You use Post-it note, right, Amy? Right? That was a huge failure, right? There you go, right? We take these for granted, and some people have them all over your computer and stuff like that. But that was a failure. There was a guy at 3M was trying to invent this incredible glue, and some of it spilled on this piece of paper, and he just put it on his computer or his desk. He said, wow, this is kind of handy, Yeah. And so he said, wow. So that became this giant industry. And stuff like Velcro. That was a farmer who had these birds stuck in his corduroy pants, and he couldn't get them off. So he took his pants off and he put them under a microscope, and he looked how all the things intertwine with each other. And now we have Velcro, right? So, it certainly is a challenging time, but it can be a very exciting time to kind of, look at what's possible. And there's so much technology out there now. I mean, look at us. If this happened 10 years ago, what would we do, right? In terms of being able to,
yeah.
do,
We launched Wed Talk Live, our show every Wednesday. I launched in the midst when we were at stay at home. I'm like, what am I going to do? I want to stay connected with our followers, and really pushed me out of my comfort zone, because I really, believe it or not, don't like to be speaking, but I do, but I don't. But I'd never done the Instagram live ever. And so we did it. We did our first one with Tom Kehoe and had major glitches and a lot of things go wrong. But then the next week we got better, and each week we've gotten better. So we're excited. You'll be on our show next Wednesday, which
I will. Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So that was something new that's come out for us, to be more creative, and again using technology and being on more social side too.
Yeah. So
events for us are paused for brides, but we have some ideas up our sleeves. We have
good.
Yeah.
See, look at that. You see the excitement in her face, everybody? Amy's very excited. And that's the thing with all this technology, can be super fun, because it allows you to do more things. It allows you to look at things that weren't possible before. And I know sometimes it seems kind of overwhelming with, with all the hashtags and the IGTV, but I think the people that are able to adapt and incorporate this stuff and embrace those things are going to be going to make their way through it.
You just have to step into it. Like I said, I made mistakes, and pretty much every week there's something. Like my camera fell over last week. I mean, you just have to realize mistakes will happen, but you just put your best foot forward, and
and that's the thing. It's like everybody understands that. Your kid walks into the room and hits you in the head, and like you see all that on CNN, right? So we're all trying to figure this out together. So there's a we give everybody a lot of leeway for trying to figure these things out, and you don't have to be perfect. People aren't expecting, everybody to be, this, hi, welcome to, people understand that you're figuring it out, but jump into it. And if you don't know stuff, go to YouTube, and there's literally anything that you ever wanted to know about technology. And, maybe getting some special light will make the difference, or some fancy microphone will help your audio a little bit.
Yeah, the halo light, that's an essential. I've
learned
that.
little by little, you know, and I was supposed to be on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and so I put together this whole elaborate thing, and then I was supposed to go on in 5 minutes, and they ran out of time.
Oh no.
Yeah, there was like
That's
last week. I did get my check from Jimmy Kimmel though. Actually, it's sitting upstairs. So, but they promised they'd have me on again. But
I'm
this is
sure
the second time they did that. So I'm turning into the Matt Damon
Matt Damon.
scholarship winner here for that. But technology has its challenges, and you know, but it's something that it can be a lot of fun too. It can make things easier if you invest some time in learning how to do it. And I know it's especially tricky for some people that are not 25-year-olds, but
But
they
age doesn't matter. Like my
it totally doesn't
son is
matter.
90 years old. He just, my son had electronics. He's like, let me learn,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and
user
that
open-minded. Yeah,
absolutely, and all these things are set up to make them specifically as easy as possible, because that means more people can use this stuff,
right.
which is in their best interest too. So it's no longer the nerdy guy living in his mom's basement to be able to do the coding, to be able to, you know,
Yeah. Well,
just
coding, I don't know. I couldn't. I definitely couldn't do coding, but I can
yeah.
figure out how to
Well,
push my live button on Instagram.
exactly. They've dumbed it down to the point where you don't have to be a coding expert or anything like that
Yeah.
to be able to press a few buttons. I mean, my 85-year-old dad, he uses everything. He's got an iWatch and all these.
Yep.
Took him a while, you know. I about 10 years ago, I got him a computer with one of those big white monitors on it, and I went over there, and there was all these black marks all over the computer, and I said, Dad, what's all this crap on your computer? It says, oh, it's great. When I get somebody's email address or website, I take my Sharpie marker and I write their name and phone number on the frame of the computer.
Oh,
So here's Jim's email address. Here's this website I like, Bob's email. The thing was covered with all this information. I said, listen here, Zoolander, if you put it on the inside of the actual computer, that's kind of the whole point of having so, but now things are substantially easier. So you can, use technology to your advantage, and you don't have to embrace every aspect of technology. Use what kind of fits into what you're doing. If you don't know about Instagram, spend half a day, or maybe somebody who has a teenager who can walk you through that. This is not something that you have to be a special member of. You didn't have to go to MIT to do this stuff. So, and it just gets you closer to having conversations, which is that's what we're all after. We want to talk to brides and grooms, other vendors and things like that. And so if you embrace it, you're going to benefit from that.
an essential. I mean, that's become one of our best. I don't even, we like our website. Websites are nice, but I think Instagram, couples, brides today particularly, they DM us all the time through that. We are much more closer connected through our Instagram.
And maybe you have some tips for people in terms of getting started with Instagram, and what are some of your guidelines? Because we had Debbie Lilly on a few weeks ago, and she is obviously
she's the Instagram queen.
She is the Instagram queen, yes. But maybe there's so many different ways to do Instagram. There's no there's some good principles, right, but everybody has their own kind of. What is your philosophy with using Instagram?
Number one, principles are very important. You must always, always, always credit the photographer. That is the number one rule. You could get into big trouble if you don't, whatever images you use, unless you take your own pictures. But if you're borrowing or asking to use other photos, you must get approval from the photographer and then tag them in the copy and on the photo. That's crucial. Include as much information as possible on the image too. I think that helps with your followers. So tag others if it's an image that you worked on in a wedding. I'll post a picture and even put the videographer and the transportation company on there, even though the image doesn't really say anything about entertainment. They were part of, if we're covering like a wedding shot, I include everybody, because that again helps your followers. I would say images that you choose, make sure that they're authentic to your business brand. Our model is we like to use the content from our magazine pages, because that is information that has been vetted by our editors, and it's very on brand for us. early on when we started Instagram, we really didn't know what we were doing. We're just trying to grab and pull stuff. And then we learned really quickly, it's just best to use your own content. So whenever you're doing any of your work, take pictures of your work, and then that's what you show. Stories are really fun. We love doing stories. So you can do a static post and then take that static post and expand it into a story, or then just individually stories. Also use like everyday life moments. So when it's Mother's Day or Father's Day, even though it's not really wedding oriented, we'll still put a story up there, you know, because our followers are people too. So they're celebrating Mother's Day. When there's a royal wedding, you know, maybe post, I think Debbie did that for
Right.
the for not Brie, I can't even think of her name.
Yeah, I know you. I saw that too.
Prince Edward's daughter got married. So, you know, just think in those terms, whatever is going to be authentic. But on a rules base, make sure you tag the photographer and then tag as many other people as possible to share the love. Think always of sharing the love, and don't make it, I think, too me. You know, like show like how this collaboration came together.
And what is the difference between a post and a story? I think a lot of people get confused by that.
Sure. So the static post is that main image
Mhm.
that you see in the frame, and it can be multiple images up to 10. So I do like using 10 when we're featuring a wedding, because we can show the multiple images that came the wedding, created the wedding.
Mhm.
Singular post would be, say it was just a fashion look. We do Fashion Friday. That's really fun too. You can kind of name your days of the week. We'll do hashtag Fashion Friday. We have venue masters, so we'll do venue masters of the week, you know, different categories. But so that would be a singular post. And that is more a brand identifier, I would say, because it's living live long on your page. For stories are a little bit more creative, because you can do, you know, the sparkle treatment. You can add in little creative. It's a story, right? So I wouldn't go more than 5 flips through a story. You know, you can do a one story, you can do, you know, 3. For example, we did a post on 3 looks from a wedding. One bride wore 3 looks. So we did number 1, number 2, number 3. And as you pull in the photos, this is pretty brilliant of Instagram, the backgrounds will adjust to make it look fun for the photo. And then you add in your copy. What did we like about the picture? So that's how stories work. They're a little bit more creative and fun, like a mini video in a sense.
And they go away after 24
And
hours.
they go on away after 24 hours, but you can, this is really important,
Ah.
save them to your highlights. So highlights is that circular button that you see,
Mhm.
and you just push the plus sign and you save it to your highlights. And yeah, it's a great way that you're then able to refer back again. Granted, personally, everything is archived, so you can always find your information, but it's for those following you, right? So I want to make sure if I do my venue master of the week and they're gone, I'll add them to our venue master highlights. So at any time they can go back and find it.
And what about swiping up? That seems to be a popular
Yes.
thing.
So
Yeah.
swipe up there's a requirement. You must achieve 10,000 followers to get to swipe up feature. So we worked really hard to get to our 10,000, and we're so happy we're there, because
Congratulations.
from a advertising standpoint or a client standpoint, every time we offer a swipe up to a client, we're guiding our followers directly to their websites. So that would be really important. Try to get to the 10,000. You can then, you know, help amplify any business partner you're working with, that you're guiding your clients to their website. Or it doesn't have to be a website. It could be any link that you want to guide them to.
And what about using you doing something live, IGTV or
Yes.
Facebook Live? At what point do you decide, you know, do I want to shoot this as a video, or do I want to shoot it as a live event? What
We do,
determines that choice?
yeah, so we do both. So we have something called our editor Instagram interview. They're on-site videos. So we bring our editor on-site to a business, and she does an interview. We videotape that
Mhm.
with a mic, you know, so it's not like shaky. There's a
Right.
stand. Um, and then we take that video, share it with the clients. We can put that up on Instagram, IGTV, and our site, but that's a video, right?
Mhm.
The live is through the Instagram circle. So you push that live button, and other followers see if if they're linked to me, Modern Luxury is live now, like our Wed Talk Live series every Wednesday at 2 p.m. And that's live. Like, so mistakes happen, right? I
That's
can,
what live is. Yeah.
it's
Real
like,
life.
and it can be glitchy. So connections are a little bit harder with video. It's very, clear because we're videoing it, on site through our iPhone. So yeah, but we use both. So Wed Talk Live is our live series, and then our editor Instagram is video because we're filming on site, and we do it just through iPhone. Very, very simple. We don't use anything fancy besides definitely having a microphone. So when she's interviewing, it's available. But that's an example of an interview. I mean, you can video anything. You can
Mhm.
go to a wedding and video, and then as long as you have rights.
Okay, that's great. And the last thing is hashtags, which seems to be a usually I used to enjoy this for breakfast, but now hashtags are something that has certainly become it's kind of a mystery for people. And I think a lot of people just get a group of hashtags and then they just copy and paste it. But I think it can be used in a lot of different ways. So, what are your thoughts with some of
Yeah,
the
so
best practices or what you're doing?
we hashtag everything Mod Lux Wedding Shy every single time. Um, that's important. But then we'll hashtag whatever's relevant to that image. So if I did a rehearsal dinner photo on Chicago's First Lady, I hashtagged rehearsal dinner boat weddings. Make it so it's relatable to that. We do everything: wedding ideas, wedding inspo, Chicago bride. Those type of hashtags, but also use the hashtag of the company. So hashtag Chicago's First Lady or hashtag the Ritz Carlton. Connect it with those companies as well.
So it sounds like a lot of this is really getting the other vendors involved, people
Oh
that
yeah,
anybody associated with this photograph or this video.
it's about sharing,
Mhm.
extending it out, because you never know where that click is going to be. You definitely don't want to keep this just for you. You want to extend it out to as many people as possible.
And how do you balance um, the the natural tendency to be like, "Hey, look how great our music company is," or "Great, look how great our magazine is," or "Look what we've won this award," versus this is how we can help you get what you need, And I think that's a thing that I think a lot of vendors really struggle with, is that they certainly want to be as helpful as they possibly can to their clients, but at the same time, I mean, it is a business that we
So
run,
yeah.
and there's a certain promotional aspect. So, how do you guys balance those two things?
Right. So we have weekly meetings. We sit down and talk what we're going to do for the week, but definitely our primary focus is on couples and weddings, because I always put myself in the shoes of the bride and groom
Hmm.
searching. So they don't really want me to say, "Hey, modern luxury is great. Look at this,"
Right.
But at times like today, we posted that our magazine is now live. But at the same time, we pointed out our cover star. We made it all about our cover star is Lavia Jeji. We're so excited to have her, the celebrated author and speaker. And it's actually our first real bride. So talking more in those terms. So yeah, hey, we came out with this beautiful wedding magazine, but this is what's cool. And this is why you want to look into it. We have 37 weddings. We have the new fashion designers, what they were able to come up with during COVID, stories like that. Um, because innately that promotion of others will land to why you're so good. Like, this is why we were able to create this experience and why a couple would want to book you as a band. But here and there, you might have something new, a special promotion. So throw that in stories maybe. But we always try to focus on the couples, the weddings, and then have that shine a light like why modern luxury is so relevant and good at what we do.
I see. I see. Okay. And see, technology beeping up. It goes
Oh yeah,
24/7, right? I mean, bings and bongs all day long. It's
I
just
think that's
like,
right. It's our Instagram post for the cover today. So
really?
it's iconic. We've never had a real bride on our covers, so we're
Wow.
so excited. And the reason why, again, being creative because of COVID, is traditionally we've always done a fashion shoot in New York after bridal market, and then our cover is fashion. We're very fashion forward, and that's what makes our magazine always look ahead of the game, right? We always had the latest fashions even before they're in store on the cover. Well, we weren't able to shoot in New York. Bridal collections didn't happen. We didn't know what we were going to do for a cover.
Yeah. Right.
So we just thought, well, obviously our own couples are so beautiful. We want to put them on the cover. And then we were just fortunate to land Lovey's wedding, which she's a Chicago celebrity, author, speaker. Akeshi from Akesh Events is the one that
Yes.
did the wedding with us, and we asked, would she like to be on our
Well,
cover? We'd love to have her. It's definitely relevant to, continuing the conversation on being diverse. So she was so kind to let us have her on the cover, and it's beautiful. It's such a gorgeous shot. So we're blowing up today. It's
see,
good.
now look at that. I mean, in terms of, like we talked about earlier, in terms of having to adapt to change and how amazing things can come out of,
Yeah, and I
well,
think we
we're
might
not
be.
able to do
I
this, but look,
like it. I like
right?
Real Brides, although it might be a little bit hard. We only do 2 issues a year, right? So they're
Right.
very converted spots. So I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to get. Like, how do you choose?
Right. Well, what a great honor for her, and I think everybody will really love that. So now that's exciting because I think it is something that is new for you guys, but you figured it out. You said, what are we able to do in this situation? What resource do we have? And that's also, for all of you guys, the vendors out there, is to look at, Amy had a situation where they were like, well, we can't do this. What are the resources do we have? And even though it was completely different, they made that change, and now they've got an amazing result.
Right.
And
Not just slapping. Like, we could have slapped anything on the cover, but we didn't take that approach. It took us a long time to figure out, make the right choice. What's the right decision? How do we vet this and, go through that process? So, anything that you do that's very, you know, focused on what's best for your brand, it always ultimately comes out to be the best choice.
yeah, and even though Amy asked me earlier to be on the cover, I said, you know what? Even though I'm very
Hey,
fashion
you're in the
forward,
magazine. You're in the magazine.
I
They
am on the
trust me.
mag.
Yes,
I am in the
that
magazine.
counts.
I just can't stand all the publicity. So, but I appreciate the offer there, Amy. That was very, very generous of you. But in terms of advertising, how have you noticed changes in terms of not only, the size of ads people are doing, but maybe the tone that people are using for ads? Are you finding them that people are including messages of, we
Yeah,
understand what you're going through?
yeah.
Are the different types of images, not that they're showing brides wearing masks or anything, but have you noticed that the tone changing?
So tone, yes. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, we saw the ad creative coming through in the last few weeks to be in this issue, and many put in a lot about small weddings, micro weddings, just being representative that they also can do this, that companies that traditionally were known for these large scale weddings or images are different. So instead of showing a big ballroom packed, a beautiful set table for 10 to 25, we saw a lot of imagery change in ads. Um, being more thoughtful in the words and wording. Invitation companies, love is not canceled, still share
Mhm.
your love. Definitely planners talking about what they can do. I think planners are big heroes of the industry because it has really saved a lot of weddings and brides and grooms headache that they had a planner, that they were able to work and reschedule a lot of their vendors, and many of them had to reschedule weddings 2-3 times. And I think it shows why planners are such an essential at this time. Um, as far as, ad, you know, budgets, obviously everyone has been affected, and, it's been hard because in crisis, I mean, I have an advertising background. That's my degree. I've studied it for many, many years. In fact, in times of crisis, that is the best time to advertise. You don't want to go dark. So it was really difficult conversations to have with companies. Like, if there's any way that you can keep your brand out there, now's the time, because there will be companies that aren't going to make it through, and you want to be the one that does. So we're out. Our exposure is for 6 months. That's a big time frame, to be exposed to the wedding market, and we want to show strength of community too. I mean, it was
Right.
a big push. We came up with new programs. We have a new membership program. What people are loving, just being more flexible and helpful on our end. But from a business advice point,
Right.
it's best to advertise when things are most difficult. And it's been proven, in the Great Depression, companies like Coca-Cola, they were the only ones that advertised. They rose to the top. In most recent times, in the financial downfall at 2007, 2008, McDonald's pulled back from advertising and Taco Bell went forward. Their business grew, and same with Chick-fil-A. So like there are true facts of why this type of advertising works. And we try to find affordable ways for our clients to get in, and because we want to see our industry thrive and grow. I don't want to see 20 businesses shut their door. We want to make sure that we're still out there, and that's the best thing that we can do as a medium here in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think Amy makes a great point. One of many points that she's kind of gone through this morning is the importance of advertising and being present, even though people are dealing with all kinds of things in their personal life, their professional life. You can be the person that's there to help, and the person that believes that what you're doing is bigger than just contracts and deposits. That there's something deeper to what you're doing. And I lost my second cousin last night to the virus, who passed away.
Gosh.
And I think we kind of get so caught up in the numbers of everything. We have to realize that we are all suffering, and we are all dealing with all kinds of things. And that commonality is something that that I think is important to hold on to, and never let technology and all the hashtags and IGTV get in the way of human compassion for each other. And which is why I started our company 20 years ago, because I didn't want to just have contract numbers and username and passwords for people, because weddings, as you know, Amy, are people's lives and their stories and their love stories. And the more we can show passion for them, and empathy and compassion, the better off we're all going to be to have greater events, even if they're smaller, to have events that are meaningful and authentic and inclusive. That's, I think, what people are going to remember about your wedding, is how they feel on Sunday morning and 500 Sunday mornings when they think back about your wedding. And that's what I'm always striving to do, is to find more ways to connect with people. So,
and staying positive, I think that's going to be really important.
Yes.
Right. Couples want positive people in their lives. So we all get burnt out, and we all can be like, but this is the time to share your positivity with your couples. And that's how you're going to win business as well. That, you're helping, you're being helpful, staying positive. So
Absolutely.
make it difficult.
Absolutely. And the more we can make it as easy as possible, that you've got a friend in the business.
Right.
With not only for brides and grooms, but also other vendors too. To reach out to some vendors that you maybe haven't talked to in a long time, and not even from like, here's my number, here's your website. But just a compassionate kind of looking out for each other. Because in business, people think that big giant companies are these big conglomerates, but I'd say 90% of the wedding vendors are individual people with people that on their team that believe in them. And we have to really hold on to that stuff too. So, and that's for all different types of budgets and size events and everything like that. So that's, I think, super, super important. But, Amy has been through, you've seen so many different trends and technology and magazines and fashion things and stuff like that. What are some of the things that have, since when you started, and you've been involved with the company for how long now?
14 years.
13. That's a long time. So what are some of the
our 15th anniversary will be
15th anniversary? That's incredible.
December issue. Yeah.
That is really incredible. And so what are some of the things that are still present today as to when you started 15 years ago? And what are some of the things that are the biggest changes between 15 years ago and today?
That's a good question. Wedding gowns are still present today. It's always an essential. Floral has always been, but in the 14 years, it's just exploded, where it's really taken over the desired look of a wedding. Before, florals were just kind of like, what do you want in your center of your table? Now it's these big backdrops and more Instagram type moments. Um, I would say more now would be more added elements like Dipsy cart, or the photo booths, of course, but the photo booths are just really fun and different. The food trucks, after parties, much much more larger scale inclusions. The custom cocktail, that's something really creative and new. That's different. Not that weddings were boring back in 2006 or 2007, but I think they're a little bit more straightforward. And now they're definitely more custom. Every wedding or bride really wants to come with a custom look. Recent big changes was there was like country chic that was so popular. Everyone kind of wanted that country chic. That's kind of fallen away, and again, being more unique. What's important to that couple, what makes them tick for their wedding. It doesn't have to be everything through the wedding, but I found like there's one piece of element of that bride and groom that can be incorporated in a wedding, makes it really special. What was the other part of the question?
It's a big question and stuff. So no, that's perfect. That's in terms of like trends that you've seen that have been consistent, some things that have changed.
So now,
now, yes,
obviously small micro weddings. That'll be a term, probably being overused, but what else do you call it? Small weddings, micro weddings,
yeah,
boutique weddings, and it's really based on what legally we can do. So it's not that it's a trend, it's what we've been put into. So that's a big change. And then hopefully we'll get to the 100 and the 258 and get out of this by next year.
And I've been in the business long enough, and I've seen a lot of different magazines come and go. I remember Wedding Bells magazine and stuff like, I've probably advertised in nearly every wedding publication. And there's certainly a lot of things out there. What is it about modern luxury weddings that really makes it, such a leader and such a unique voice in the wedding marketing and the wedding industry in general?
Yeah. So for modern luxury as a company, our core titles are luxury based. So CS, we have 24 markets across the country. We're the largest luxury lifestyle media company. On the magazine side, it's all about content. So we have real editors that vet the content. So you'll see what's exciting about this issue is what you're going to read. It's so amazing to me when I have someone in the office that's newly engaged and they pick up the magazine and they start reading it. They're like, Amy, I always knew the magazine was beautiful, but the information in here is so helpful. So, and it's very curated, right? So you can spend hours upon hours on a wedding website and really get nowhere. It's I call it digital anxiety. There's just too much information. What we do within the magazine is we curate it down. So you're looking for great bands. We don't have 300 bands for you to figure out who you want to work with. We've got our top 5 to 6. That's true Chicago, knowing Chicago and who's best of the best in the industry. And that's what we focus on. I don't think it's helpful to have 300 photographers to pick. You want to work with the best qualified companies. So as a magazine, that's why we're so valued. And I think why the industry reads us is our editorial content and information is hyper local. It's all about Chicago. And again, the level of people that run with us are what we consider the best of the best. So you've got that. But magazine isn't all that we do either. So we have a website that filters everything, and we have our social media, which we're heavy on Instagram. We have emails. We had events, but we will have events again. We will figure it out. So we run, we provide access for our clients through all these mediums. We're just not one voice. So like if you just go to a website, like I said, it's exhausting for a couple to kind of figure out who's good, who's not through a website. I try it myself. I'm always doing it. I'm like, let me see what's out there. I'm like, ugh, I can't wait to get off. Like it's just
it's overwhelming, right?
So I think that's what we do as a magazine, and we're select. I mean, we have 50,000 copies, which is a nice amount per issue, so 100,000. But we make sure it's in bridal salons and venues wherever a bride or groom is going to be. So we're very focused on reaching the consumer a very good budgeted affluent consumer, which is unique. Websites, even ours, we can't control who's going there. We don't know who's going there, but with a magazine, we can control who's picking it up and who's using it.
It's like the Zsa Zsa Gabor quote. She says, "Don't marry for money, move to where there's money, and marry for love."
Okay. That works.
Right. So if you're dealing with these curated lists of vendors, and you're putting them in front of those
Yeah.
same level of brides, then that's how you develop that kind of connection to kind of get you into those kinds of
And it's
circles. So
often,
that's,
it's the next in line. So we'll have the wedding magazine at bridal salons. That's a big push through, a lot of
yeah,
brides through, but it's their next in line. They're usually their friend that's next. So they're already familiar with us. And then they'll have the magazine or hand them the magazine. Then they get to the next one, or they'll follow us on Instagram. They'll, go to our websites. But I think then our events, they attend our events, so they become part of our family. And then the next person next in line, wants to get involved. And what we provide is real, true information for Chicago. Like, we're not, it's the real deal.
yeah, no, it's amazing. And here's a little news flash in case you didn't know this. A lot of women that are already married or don't even have boyfriends still read Modern
I
Luxury
know.
Weddings. It is
Okay,
so,
so my favorite comment of all came from our former publisher, the late great John Carroll of CS.
yes, great
And
guy.
he said to me in a sales meeting, he's like, Amy, why am I sitting in Starbucks and I see a 50-year-old man intently reading your wedding magazine? I'm like, well, John, he could be a groom. He could be the father of the bride. He could, I don't know. It just is a nice magazine.
Yeah,
But
it's a
it's good.
beautiful magazine. Everybody
So
wants.
many, yeah,
It's
so
aspirational.
aspirational. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think people love the idea. I mean, I love watching Downton Abbey, but I don't know if I necessarily want to live in that era. But it's great to be able to
Right.
to see these beautiful things, and in our very homogenized world, we love seeing things that are very authentic and beautiful and unique and
Mhm.
and,
But I
and
think
really special.
our style of producing wedding magazine, we're not too sugary, right? We're not too fluffy. Like, we believe in diversity. We were the first wedding magazine to have LGBTQ weddings featured, believe it or not.
Wonderful.
Very first one in 2006. We always try to have our weddings that we have a diverse array, from cultural, from religious, and that at any point, anyone reading the magazine or looking at our featured weddings can see a little bit of themselves with them. Like, I sometimes look at some sites and it all looks the same. I'm like, you're just catering to one type of bride. You need to have diversity, especially in Chicago. We are such a diverse city.
Oh, absolutely. Love is love. Absolutely. I believe in that. And the more we can get of that in various forms is always always a good thing, and it should be celebrated of all age groups, of all backgrounds,
With
and
you age, yeah.
every bride to me is a celebrity and a high end bride, because to them this is what they can do, and I want to give them. I'm not going to give any less effort to a 50-person wedding than a 500-person wedding, and I think that's important. As we kind of wrap up here, Amy, and you've been so helpful and so insightful as always, and your magazine is just an amazing resource for vendors as well as uh, brides and grooms and everybody in the industry. But what advice would you have for wedding vendors that are getting depressed and confused and trying to figure all these things out in terms of the future of their business and what steps they should be taking right now? What's some of your best advice for talking to some of these vendors?
Yeah, so I would say get connected with somebody in the industry. That it doesn't have to be in the same competitive vein, but it's the venue. Pick up the phone, give them a call. If you're dealing with being kind of down in the dumps, I mean, the best thing is to put on your mask, go outside, go for a walk, reboot, reset yourself.
Mhm.
But try to have someone to talk to. I mean, I have a partner in crime here in Chicago, Paula Basmaji. She's my right-hand girl, and we talk every day. We talk about what our plan is. I mean, we can easily just have good days or bad days. we complain all the time to each other. So you
Sure.
need that. So just, that would be my advice. Try to stay connected. Follow us on Wed Talk Live. You can still get connected, hear positive things. Like, that's our voice, is positivity. That's why we started Wed Talk Live, is to have people hear from our industry professionals and what they're doing. The questions are, how did you pivot, during these difficult times? What are you doing for brides and grooms? So the more that you listen to these things, that will help your mindset, be more positive, and maybe get ideas on what you can do.
I think that's great advice, and it's easy to feel isolated, but it's important that everybody out there knows to know that you've got a friend, and Amy and I will be your friend. How you like that? And we're always here to help, and we've been through all kinds of different things with our different companies, ups and downs and stuff. But
and 14 years here at Modern Luxury. So
exactly, it's quite a bit, and know that you guys are not alone. That you've got a ton of people, vendor friends that care about you as people and for your business, and all the, we forget about all the brides and grooms that we've worked with already, that you've done an amazing job for. And go back and read some of your reviews. Look at some of your handwritten cards that you've gotten, and remind yourself that what it is that you actually do, and you're making changes right now. And all those changes, your future self will thank you for. And take advantage of this time. Listen to their to their show, and all the different things that are some great messages out there. A lot of companies are reinventing themselves, making themselves better. Because who knows? I mean, you may not ever get this chance again. There may be some vaccine coming up quickly, and we'll be back to regular weddings, and we'll look back at this period of time we have now, be like, I really wish I had spent more time, learning about Instagram and learning about how to use YouTube and Facebook and all these different things.
There'll be something else down the road too. We're always keeping our eyes out, like, oh, what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. And looking forward. And I'll leave you with this last quote that Wayne Gretzky said. He wasn't successful because he went to where the puck was. He was successful because he went to where the puck was going to be.
Right.
So I encourage you guys to really stay positive, stay proactive. Listen to some of the things that Amy has been talking about in terms of using technology and marketing, and the importance of continuing to advertise and to do marketing. Because she's absolutely right. This is not the time to shrink into a dark hole or anything. This is the time to be like, we're going to survive, and we're going to get through this thing, and we will do this. So keep supporting each other. And I want to thank you, Amy, for being such an incredible guest on our program today. And so thank you so much for being here, Amy.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Yes, and next week I will be a guest on her program, so we're going to flip things a little bit around here. But and what are some of the ways that people can connect with Modern Luxury Weddings?
Sure. Yeah, on our Instagram, it's at Mod Lux Weddings Shy. Our website, same, Mod Lux Weddings Chicago. And then through the Instagram, you can click our bio link to get to our digital edition and read about the new issue that just came out today. The physical copies are on the trucks tomorrow, so it'll be out in the next week. Oh,
okay, great. So I bet it'll be all over Chicagoland. So if you are a 55-year-old man that wants to read the new issue of Modern Luxury Weddings, and you're into Starbucks.
And we started something new. We started something called Diamond Delivery.
Oh.
And so through our Instagram, brides can DM us, or brides and grooms can DM us, and we will mail a copy direct to them through our Diamond Delivery.
Wow, that's pretty special.
Yeah.
That is good to know, guys. So thanks so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. I know I did. I learned a lot. And so stay inspired, stay proactive, and much love to all of you and your families. And the best is yet to come. So thanks so much to Amy and to all of you who watched. And feel free to share this with anybody you'd like. And we will see you very shortly. Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.